This poem
Hello,
is
everyone, and good
very
evening,
special.
ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar, Sasyakal Adab to each one of you at the Motherhood Club. Welcome to the open mic in English, a language that we all love. We feel that we look very elite if we speak in English, but at the same time, English has the power to convey message to not just one, but to pretty much the whole world, and that is the power of English. No longer is English an alien language to us. Today, with us, we have three esteemed poets. Very interestingly, all three of them have some connection with Singapore. Two of them are connected to us through a Singapore resident, Vanessa. And of course, we know Sonia from the very beginning. So, very warm welcome, Richa, Tapasya, and Sonia to the Motherhood Club open mic.
Thank you.
These
Thank
three
you.
women write poetries straight from their heart, their experience. Many a times, you actually can relate to what they are saying because they are so real. I think each one of them doesn't need an introduction because they are well known names and faces at Motherhood Club. Each of them writes on many platforms, have been recognized by many platforms, nationally, internationally, and have a passion to write, to express in different forms. So, without wasting much of our time, I am going to first invite Richa Dinesh Sharma to read out her poem, A Poet's Kitchen. So, let's understand what all goes into a poet's kitchen. So, Richa, welcome, and let's begin with your very first recitation.
Yeah. Hi, Akta. Hi, everyone who's watching us. I'm very happy to be
Hello.
sharing this space with Sonia and Tapasya, two poets I deeply admire and respect. And this poem of mine, A Poet's Kitchen, I hope you guys enjoy it. It is one of the first attempts at writing humorous poetry for me. When I was growing up, humorous poetry was I used to read Ogden Nash, Nissim Ezekiel, a lot of funny poets who probably made a deep impression on me, but it's a very scary genre to try. I finally tried it at the age of 40. Let's see how it came out. So here's A Poet's Kitchen. Hope you all enjoy it. A Poet's
Yes, go
Kitchen.
for it.
How hard it is to toast some bread and tedious to endeavor to feed or be fed. After every few hours, I find me in there, the coop, my kitchen, a room of nightmares. And also, I would like to mention clearly that I admire each person who dons that hat, the same that's visible on some professionals, that some that like to roast sans rationale. A chef's hat is no less than a decoration, a medal for those who defeat hunger's perpetual battle. I struggle and sweat and grumble and rant and cook limited. I mean, only to an extent. Never to prove my prowess with the pan. At times near the stove, I wish I were a man. My brood prefers all the fancy stuff. By the end of each day, I have had enough. So drudgery plain it seems to me, but so many of my friends would disagree. Slavery it's not. They sing in a choir. Watch me cook, you sadistic voyeur. I work so hard on the ideas and plat du jour that I hate this store encore. Find me a nook or a magical book that I read what I want and write my poetry in, and poems into delicacies keep transforming. That's all.
Wow.
Yeah, that's so nice. Lovely.
That's a beautiful attempt.
Yeah.
Thank you so
And
much.
I think the way you've recited it and adding those punches into it is lovely. Very, very nice. What do you have to say, Sonia and Tapasya?
Really very beautiful poem. This is like plight of every housemaker, homemaker, like, or whoever
Yes,
cooks, like. So,
true,
we
true.
keep thinking, yeah, every day it's like sometimes like a struggle what to cook, what to cook. So both and
I know,
worry
and
of every girl, every woman.
yes, living in
Absolutely.
Singapore, it is so hot.
Yeah,
Being
So
in
you
kitchen
can
is a
see the fun,
punishment. I'm sure
you
you
can see
kitchen,
the
ladies
yeah.
know
funny
that.
side of things and the struggle, putting in funny side, and we can see the
Yes.
expressions on your face. I mean, you're still there, so it really
Yeah, yeah.
tickles your bones.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, and it is true
Absolutely.
to my heart. I didn't make it up. I really have no love for cooking and kitchen.
Absolutely,
So,
your expression
Yeah,
shows
and
it all.
absolutely, and
yeah,
it so resonates with me because in this scorching heat of Delhi, when you have to stand in the kitchen and cook, sometimes you feel like, God damn it, is your life all about cooking food? And
Yeah,
you
that's
finish
exactly.
breakfast, and then there's lunch, and then there is snack, and then there is dinner. There is no end to it. But very beautifully put, Richa.
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Absolutely. So there are appreciation coming your way from Umang Sarinji, Vanessa, Mukesh Bhatnagar ji. Eli saying everyone's P. Mukesh Bhatnagar ji saying beautiful. Umang ji saying
Thank you
wow.
so much.
So yes, I'm so glad to see a lot of you here watching the English open mic today, because we were just discussing before we went live that English poetry not many come and appreciate, but it's good to see that there
Yes,
are a lot of you over here. Do invite your
yes,
friends, because there's going to be lovely, lovely poems that are going to be shared. And since we all have a big smile on our face because of Richard's poem, and each one of us, especially the women, and of course the men who cook, who would understand this, let's continue with the smile on our face by
yes.
hearing Sonia's poem, Smile. Welcome, Sonia.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. So, I mean, it's always happy. I'm always happy to be part of any motherhood club event, and this poem is smile is about like my baby's birthday party. So we were like totally new to Mumbai, and I had a feeling that first birthday everybody they celebrate in a very lavish way. In hotels they throw parties, they waste a lot of money. So I just thought that we will celebrate in a very different way, and that is like in an orphanage. So
Wow,
we didn't plan any lavish party and all. We just celebrated an orphanage. So this poem is all about that. So I'll start the
wow.
poem. My baby turned 1, and it was time for celebration and fun. Not on any bigger stage, but in Mother Teresa Orphanage. Little angels were my guests, all dressed to the best, sparkling in golden smiles with innocence and purity in their eyes. Children going round and round in the game of musical chair with so much of noise around, walking slowly and steadily to the sound. Faces lit up with the smile when dancing on the Bollywood style. We too sang and danced with them. Each and every kid was a gem. Now on platter. On platter, pizza, burger, chips and cake, fruit juice and milkshake, how much they relished. Within no time, the foods finished, obviously. At the end, at the end of the party, the most awaited moment lies. We had a nice surprise. Return gifts were of their choice. They opened it right there. Each one got their share. In their happy, smiling face, I could see a reflection of God's grace. Sister Flarita was smiling, and so was I. But deep inside, we both were crying. We played Santa's part, for Santa couldn't deliver. God sent us as a caregiver before their hopes quiver. Our world abounds in the hypocrisy and hatred of hostiles. Let's embellish and adorn it with the glint and gleam of smiles. With the glint and gleam of smiles. Thank you.
Awesome. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. That
Yes,
smile,
thank you
I
so
think
much.
those smiles, on those kids' face back then would have been worth $1 million.
Yes.
To be a
Yeah.
Santa. And I think, kids, they love it when you tell them that they are a secret Santa to someone. They
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
love doing that. So
Yeah.
beautiful,
Yeah.
very nicely. The words, the way you have weaved it, it's beautiful. Richa, what do
Yes.
you have to say?
I think, Sonia, apart from the whole narrative is so sensitive. I think I teared up a little bit because, yeah, we've done that in the past, celebrated with them. And
Yeah.
I think it creates our kids connect with those kids in a very different way, in a very organic way. It's beautiful to watch childhood, and
Yeah.
it's lovely. It's lovely to share your good times with those those kids. I think it was
Yeah.
a beautiful narration. I loved it. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Sonia.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Tapasya, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I really appreciate what Sonia has done, and
Yeah.
especially at a young age, I'm sure when she had her first child, to have that kind of sensibility, and and
Yes.
so that moment stayed in her, and how she narrated in the form of poem, you can still make
Yes.
out like how she's still connected with that moment. So
Correct.
that thing has taken me, more, and it's a very nice feeling. It's like I'm
Yes.
still, feeling little with something in my hand. It's very
Warm
different.
and fuzzy.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
I know. I think we all go through this, and especially when once you become a mom,
yeah,
every
Yes.
child that you look at,
Yeah.
you feel some emotions flowing
yes,
their way, and
Yes.
especially such kids who, come from humble background or who have been many a times abandoned.
Yes.
And what you just recited, Sonia, is something that I experienced with my daughter last year during Christmas, where I made her a secret Santa, and she was so involved in it. She was feeling so happy about it. So I think these are some of the ways that we kind of groom our kids to
Yes.
understand that there is another side
Yes.
also, where people do not have all those things that we are so privileged to have.
True.
So
True.
thank you so much, for
I want
sharing.
to mention one thing. My mother just gave me some like 1 kg something homemade laddus. So I just thought that I'll have laddus, sometimes. So why not? I should take laddus also along. So it's
Yeah.
like a homemade, it is touch of love.
yeah,
So I'll just take an homemade laddus for kids. So to my surprise, laddus were all finished and cake was still there.
Yeah.
Really
True.
love
True.
letters. I was so happy, when they,
See, they had your mother's touch, no?
yeah,
See,
yeah,
cake, I'm sure
Very
बहुत लोग
precious.
लेके आते होंगे, but laddu is something, homemade laddu,
with
which they
me.
know they may not get it, but cake फिर
Yeah.
भी आ जाएगा, so that was a very, very
True. True.
sweet
Yeah,
gesture.
Yeah. 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 Very
Right.
precious.
So, yes, we understood what happens in the kitchen of a poet, and then, we continued with that smile. But imagine that smile had a very strong message where these kids are actually imprisoned without their parents, and that is why they are in an orphanage. So, our next poem is by Tapasya Sureka. The title of the poem is Imprisoned. I don't know what the plot of that poetry is, but I think anybody who's caught in a cobweb, anybody who's caught up in a circumstance which is not favorable for them, is imprisoned. So, let's hear what Tapasya has to share with us on being imprisoned.
thank you,
Over to you, Tapasya.
Ekta. Thank you, Motherhood Club, and good evening for everyone who is watching. Okay, my poem Imprisoned is written when I about my students and how they felt, but they never, they were never open to share about it. Here I start.
Yeah.
I live in the world where acceptance is an illusion within the walls of expectations, criticism, judgment, and perfection, where the custodians of reserves of happiness quantifies every emotion, a room in captivity, with no dose of ventilation. Here, truth needs to be justified. Efforts go unnoticed. Character certified. My self worth, self esteem is at stake. In my self imposed confinement, I find solace. And I turn into a social recluse, imprisoned in my own thoughts. I weep silently, hugging my soul. I scream silently behind those doors. I'm estranged to my own feelings, unsure of where to go. I am my longest companion. My heart aches. The pain swallows me, sometimes in part, sometimes in whole. A part of me wants to hear me. It's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to do mistakes. It's okay to be scared. Accept your failures. Stop waiting for happy days. Take a leap of faith towards heavenly freedom, breaking people's perception of how I should be. Thank you.
Yeah, very nice.
You know,
Tap,
one after the other through your poems, you are, touching those emotions that one sees every time you walk on a street. You see these people who are so, I mean, they want to be happy, but
Yeah.
they aren't.
They're trying. They're trying.
They're
They're
trying
just,
hard.
yeah.
And if all of us, can make that little bit of effort to do something and bring that smile that Sonia was talking about, I think we'd all be able to make a difference. Beautifully written, Tapasya. Beautifully
Thank you.
written.
very
Sonia, Richa, what do you have to say?
Richa is on mute.
Richa, unmute yourself.
I was bowled over by the choice of words. I mean, so tight. The composition itself is so, it's crisp, it's tight. It just hits you. It's like you hit the nail on the head. So it's very rarely, poets end up using a lot of words. I have been guilty of that crime. So it's very easy for us to be verbose. It's very difficult for us to convey a sentiment and get our audience to feel that sentiment with fewer words. And you've done that, Tapasya. It's phenomenal.
Thank you.
It's
Absolutely.
it's amazing. And I think I felt the same way when I read Sonia's when I heard Sonia's poem. You can feel. Can you feel that, Ekta ji? The evocation, the feeling, it's immediately incited. It's
That's why
beautiful.
I said in the beginning that all three of them write from their heart what they see, what they
Yes,
experience. And I think,
yes,
that for any poet to be able to convert their experience into words and then to emote it in the way you actually wrote it, I think
correct.
that is commendable. And each one of you is doing absolute justice to your own written words. Perhaps you would have written these poems long time back,
Yeah,
or some could have been freshly baked. But when you write and when you actually recite it, I think the exact emotion comes out,
resurfaces.
and sometimes you are, you yourself are bowled over. Ki, Are, I
Huh.
wrote this. This is
Yeah.
amazing. So many times I'm sure we
Yeah.
feel this, right? So before we go any further, I'm going to read out some comments. Pure sentiments shared by you, Sonia. Vanessa is clapping and smiling for you. Sharmishta Mukherjee saying how wonderful. Pallavi Bachani saying Sonia is so emotional. Vanessa is saying I love Naidu. Laddu, of course, is the a
Ah,
high
let's do
point of
that.
this poem. Vanessa is saying this is for Sonia. Sonia, you brought back memories of my time looking after orphanage children with AIDS in Sri Lanka,
Yeah.
inspiring me to write a poem and my experience with them. Vanessa, we are waiting for that poem.
Yeah.
Uh, Shamishta is saying, loved it, Sureka, beautiful lines, touched my heart. Vanessa for Tapasya, wow, Tapasya, superb as always. Imprisonment is so suffocating, Tapasya ji, well compiled. Poonam is saying, Tapasya, you touched my soul. Sonia, awesome. Love this. Tapasya saying, Ila. So I'm so glad today that there are so many of you who are watching the English poetry, because
Yeah.
that's been my one big crib and fast कि English सुनने कोई नहीं आता है. But आज काफी लोग हैं तो बहुत मजा भी आ रहा है. It's lovely to read all the comments. So where Tapasya spoke about being imprisoned, and there was something that she mentioned about being encouraged or being appreciated for what you do. So, Sonia, I'm sure you'd like to share something on appreciation.
Yeah, sure. So, uh, our birth on earth. This is a title of famous song of appreciation. Our birth on Mother Earth is so joyful and full of mirth, but joyous is our audio too. Life continues and starts anew, for count of breaths needs a renew. Our karma decides our fate, goodness in us leads to heaven's gate. Before it becomes too late, we still have moments to appreciate. Appreciation for the smiles and also for the tears. For if smiles are the sunshine, then tears are the rain. Our life needs both in a row to make a lovely rainbow. Appreciation for the spring and also for the fall. For if spring is the blossom time of fresh hopes and new beginnings, then fall is the renewal time of crisp and old clearing. Appreciation for the light and also for the darkness. For the light shines in the darkness, darkness surrenders to light, making the world vibrant and bright. Appreciation for the pleasure and also for the pain. For if pleasure is a soulful song, then pain makes our hearts strong. Let's appreciate the people around us, wonders of nature that surround us. Just appreciate for the gift of life, no matter how much we struggle or strive. We are here not to destroy, but create, to spread love and not hate. For tomorrow we will be gone, so don't criticize, just appreciate. Don't criticize, just appreciate. Thank you.
It's lovely. Such a beautiful
Beautiful.
poem.
Thank you so much.
You've with this poem of yours, you haven't just conveyed a meaning or the essence of appreciation, but of acceptance
Yes.
of the time that we have in our life, the moment that we need to live in. So much, what powerful poem, and so
Yes,
simply and beautifully explained message in your poem. Richa,
lovely.
you
Thank
want
you
to
so
say something?
much.
Sonia, I was lost in the analogies and there was so much gratitude in what you just said that it's very easy to see that you practice this in real life. It seems like you're a person who gets up every morning and is grateful for the blessings. It is very difficult, for most people to be grateful for what they have. It is very easy for us to, cry about what we don't have. And
Yeah.
what your poem is, it's a good reminder to have every day. Actually, people should read your poem every morning. I hear
Yeah.
people
That's
This
so
complaining.
should be,
sweet.
yeah, this should be the like on the first page of your self.
Yes, and I think kids should read these kind of poems a lot, because I see modern generation, especially now that I have a teen daughter. Kids these days have they complain. They are dynamic, they are different, and they're out to change the world, but they also complain a lot.
Lot
So
of grudges there.
yeah, so it's
The
wonderful.
whiners.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a great lesson in humanity to be grateful.
Absolutely. Yes,
Also
Thank
the
you
Tapasya.
so
way
much.
I mean how you like light surrenders to darkness and how they
Yes,
merge and the karma. I mean those things, I mean when you incorporate this so beautifully, you
yes,
start loving a poem. I mean, yesterday only I was speaking to a friend and she said, like, as a child she never understood poems, but poems like these conveys the message so subtly. I mean, it's like it just hits you there.
yes,
So
Yes.
it's so important.
And what I'm loving about each of your poems is that very simple and easy to comprehend words. Those very heavy loaded, heavy duty words that one needs to sit with a thesaurus or a
Dictionary.
dictionary and look through it. My God, they just go over my head, be it in Hindi or English. I think a message conveyed in a very simple yet
Yes.
powerful way. I think that hits it right
Yes.
where it needs to hit. It
Yes.
touches a chord with the audience. And Sonia,
Yes.
having read many of your poems and stories,
Yeah.
there's a lot of realism. You're not just saying because you want to write a poem, and your co-practitioner Poonam Saxena is saying that yes, she practices in her daily life.
I agree.
Eva is saying, Sonia, what a beautiful message conveyed, simple words full of gratitude. Yes, and this feeling of appreciating each other, this
Yes.
feeling of gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. If each of us can imbibe in ourselves and in our kids, I think the world is going to be a better place to live in.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. And we did try an attempt of appreciation in the month of April, where each of us read out poems of our fellow poets and expressed our gratification, our appreciation for all that they did. So since we are talking about Motherhood Club, so I'm going to invite Richa now to read out her poem, which is The Her in Mother is a tribute to mothers. So The Her in Mother. Let's hear it, Richa.
Yeah. So if you see the word itself, mother has a her in it. Even surprisingly, a father has a her in it. So
Absolutely. In
yeah,
fact, a brother also has a her in it, and so does a
her in
sister.
it.
Sister doesn't have a her,
Yes.
but it's her.
Sister is a her. Sister is a soulmate, always.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about this, and I realized, that oftentimes once you become a mother, and since we are all here as part of a motherhood club, once you become a mother, uh, your femininity changes. It is very different from before your avatar as a non-mother. Even if
Yeah.
you're a wife or a sister or a daughter, it's your identity changes. You become a different kind of feminine energy. This poem of mine is inspired from that. I have always seen a her in my mother. And as we grow older, I'm sure most of us see our mothers as not just the mother figure. We see her as a person, a female person, and we see how age changes her, how times change her. So, without further ado, my poem, The Her in Mother. The advent of happiness, the swollen womb, the life inside that kicks her cheeks aglow, a bloom. By day she is an industry, by night a falling star, granting little wishes freely. Her essence infused in the life she brings, what of her? Her beauteous form, her tired limpid eyes, her busy hands, her strength leaving, yet growing strong. For hours of agony in birthing, she is cut or torn. Her face, her smile hides. A warrior returned. The wise words she gave, and that impossible godly love, the armor of the bravest braves. That's her in this word, Mother. The light of the moon and the sun, and a celestial providence like no other. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Very
Very
nice.
nice.
I'm
Beautiful.
waiting for you all to comment this time. I'm trying to absorb your poem,
This
Tapasya.
just expressing like she's an industry in the morning and like a falling star at night, and fulfilling the wishes. It's like you can just feel through the whole journey. You have seen your mother, and
Yes.
it's very very touching. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tapasya. Thank you
Like
so
it's
much.
a journey of every mother. Like she doesn't
True.
care for her comforts. She does.
Yes.
She just like she is like a mother nature. Mother
Yes.
nature just gives, gives and gives. And
Yeah.
Yes.
no matter how much she does, she never. She has no expectations. Uh, like
True.
she wants to give, and in giving only she finds joy. How much she's
Yes.
tired or how much she wants her wishes to get fulfilled, but she doesn't care. I mean, uh, her priorities are very different when she becomes mother. Like before
Yes.
motherhood, her priorities, her life is totally different, but after
Yes.
motherhood, life completely changes. And
Yes.
this subtle change comes over, like it's so surprising sometimes how this beautiful change comes
You
over.
don't mind the pain.
She
Being a
yeah.
mother, you don't mind the pain.
Yeah. So she becomes real Shakti. I mean,
Yes, very
she's
true.
real
Very true.
Shakti, and I think I have I've heard somewhere that when God incarnates on earth, then he incarnates with Shakti. Without Shakti, he can't incarnate. I mean,
Yes,
he's not
true
able
that.
to do. Yeah, and when
Correct.
Shakti incarnates alone. So that's a
Alone,
very good
yes.
thing.
Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
many
think,
times, Mother incarnates Adi Shakti, primordial Mother incarnated on Mother Earth. So she doesn't need any male
yes,
partner. But when
yes,
God incarnates, he needs definitely needs Shakti. So
yeah.
Shakti, Mother becomes a real Shakti.
True,
And,
true. Absolutely true.
You know, Richa, your poem, and the background that you gave, that you looked at your mother as a lady, as a woman, and not
Mm.
just a mother, to understand all that she experiences and she goes through. I think it kind of sums up what Motherhood Club is all about. That, that we, after we become mothers, or even fathers for that matter, I would say, we kind of forget ourselves, who we actually are. Our identity is somewhere lost. And that is why perhaps, having spoken to more than 200 mothers till date, and interviewed them on the platform between Ela and me, most of them, when we said that, okay, come share your journey, they felt that they were just doing some basic stuff. There was no achievement per se, as if there were no accolades to
No
that
sense of
experience of being
achievement.
a
Yes,
sense of achievement. But I
yes,
think that exactly what we wanted Motherhood Club to give them, that you are that power
yes,
which holds the family, binds the family, creates another human,
yes. Holds the
and
universe together.
holds the universe together. You shape the future of the country, the world, and
Yes,
that is not possible without you. So that is your achievement, your accomplishment. And
yes.
imagine if that doesn't happen, who bears the brunt of it? Not
Yeah,
just the
nothing goes
woman,
forward. The
everybody.
world doesn't, the
Nothing
world
goes forward.
stops moving.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much. And before we go ahead, of course, I'm going to read the comments, but would also request the three of you to do share your poetry in writing also on the group on Facebook, so that more people can read it. And thank you everyone who has joined us and who's enjoying the poems that each one of them is sharing. Manjuji is saying how sweet, Richa. You have a sweet voice. Vanessa is saying that you're making her cry. She's all teary. Eli
I
saying,
hope you
aha,
agree.
horrid mother. Ripa saying beautiful. Poonam ji is saying we are Adi Shakti. We have power to create. Umang Sarin ji is saying beautiful. So everybody is enjoying the beautiful poems that you all are sharing, and each of your poems have such strong message. And here we're trying to create a bouquet of flowers. So where do these flowers come from? They come from a garden. So we know we need to kind of convey our thanks to that garden where these flowers grow. But there is a garden that Tapasya wants to tell us about. So let's hear what Tapasya has to share about a garden.
Yeah, thanks, Akta. Okay, so my poem is reflecting a woman's feeling of how she breaks down, and then how she visualizes her garden. So I think you will. I'll just go ahead. Picking up broken pieces of her heart, she ran aimlessly behind the shadows of her fear, unwilling to unfold, fighting her own demons, oscillating between right and wrong, lost in her known places and amongst her own people. Together yet apart, she cried bitterly, collapsing to the ground, whilst looking for the horizon, which seemed distant. While seeking her own truth, she finds herself in her oasis of peace, her childhood garden, where the chilies share space sweetly with its neighboring cotton plant, where differences are respected and boundaries are free, where the little kitten in the mud house greets and the sparrow and her spouse, where love is unconditional, where spirit is invincible, where the bougainvillea is in love with the scent of jasmine flowers, where caste and color are no longer judged, where the green grass welcomes and makes space for all its guests, where there is no discrimination and no religion is put to test, where the ants take lessons from the woodpecker, how to broaden the horizons and embrace the new. As she opened her eyes, the mirage soon disappeared. When she looked around and behind the garden doors, soon she realized changing her outlook was the only key. Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
This is bitter reality of life.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It is.
Interesting.
It is.
Yeah.
That aimless running around,
Yeah.
trying to find that oasis of peace. Absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful.
This
Uh,
is about lost childhood innocence. Like, when
So
we are
true. So true.
innocent, in childhood, we are innocent. That is why we feel lot of love. And when we grow, then we
Yes.
use like our mind, mind dominates more than our heart. And
True.
then
True.
more you go away from innocence and the more woes and worries, more stress,
Struggles, yeah.
crops up, comes up in life. So it's
Absolutely,
all
Sonia.
about,
Agree with you.
we feel like a broken winged bird sometimes, caged
Yes.
bird.
Yes.
So
Agree with you completely.
yeah, and
Thank you.
sometimes we all go through this moment
We all do.
in our
Yes.
lives. Yeah,
They call it
Absolutely.
growing up.
yeah, yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I tell my daughter, I don't want to grow up. Okay. I want to be mentally the
We all
same age
are
as you.
child. Yeah,
Yes.
we should
somewhere we
always
are
keep that little
child.
child alive.
Yeah,
Yes.
child
Do those
alive.
Absolutely.
mischievous
Yeah.
things.
Yes.
Yeah,
We used to be so pure when we were child, and
yeah,
we just complicate things when we grow
yes,
up, and like
yes,
Absolutely.
then
Yes.
it's like we have to change the outlook and go back to how we were. Like then it's like things get simpler.
Tapasya and Sonia, Ekta, I'm so glad we are having this conversation because, traditionally, women are encouraged to act mature. Okay, women are not supposed to be childish. They are not
Right.
supposed to have their whims and fancies. I'd still say, in a lot of ways, most societies accept men to be a little childish. They say boys will be boys and all that kind of crap. And a lot of things get, uh, you know, they can get away with a lot of things saying that. But but for women, it is very hard. So, and you hear people telling you all the time, relatives or
Yeah.
friends, even your own family telling you, grow up, come on,
Yeah.
you know,
So it's
come
like when you
on.
get married, आपको लगता है आप कब बड़े हो गए आपको पता ही नहीं चला overnight आप बड़े हो गए.
True,
Exactly.
true,
that's why they say girls grow fast.
true,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think Richa is very right.
Yeah,
These stereotypes, these myths are so ingrained in our system that
Yeah,
even if we are not matured, we tend to act like one
yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
that's the burden that has been put on us. Ki boss, you got to be matured. You're a woman. You're a girl.
Expectation.
You know,
True.
and overnight expecting that okay, today you're a girl, tomorrow you get married and you become a woman. Start managing everything that's there in your life.
Yeah,
Start fixing things. You
yeah.
know,
Stop laughing.
I think yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
you get to hear comments, "Acha, you are like this, you're like that, but no, you
Yeah.
can't behave like this. You become like a
Yes.
robot, tick. You all can only move
What
like
will
this only.
people say?
yes,
Ah,
Ah,
what
exactly.
will people say? We all
what
are
will
a victim of it. We're all guilty of it. Also, come to think of it, knowingly,
Yes,
unknowingly, we also say these words because that's how our conditioning has been done. And I think this is a conditioning that we see across the globe. Some have
yes,
evolved, some are yet to get there, and I think that's what Shweta Sundar is saying, that it's a beautiful message. Be the change you wish to see around you.
yes,
Absolutely. And I think that is something that totally resonates with me, Tapasya, because I think for the last 3 years, that is exactly what we've been trying to do.
Yeah.
How is it that you expect someone to behave with you in a certain manner when you yourself cannot implement it? You know, कहते हैं ना, practice
True.
what you preach.
Practice what you preach.
True.
You expect people to be there for you, but hey, where are you?
Yeah.
You know,
Agree.
and we are the ones who corrupt our own CDs as we grow up with all those stereotyping, with all those myths, and all
Yes.
those unwanted burden that is
Judgment.
going on from legacy to legacy. I think it's
Yes.
time that we drop that, just be free and do what we wish to.
I,
And as
I,
parents, we need to
yeah.
kind of imbibe that culture, that concept in our kids' mind also. Yes, Richa,
Ekta,
you wanted to say?
just to add to that, I think women most important thing is women should build each other up. Women should stop judging women, regardless of the generation. The only thing that's driving us down is we are pitted against each other, whether it's beauty or whether it's talent, even something as basic as cooking. It can be brought into a thing of rivalry. I think we should just stop dragging each other down and stop judging each other.
Absolutely, I so agree with you that a lot of women say that we are not getting that equal status. We're not able to kind of reach to a point where we wish to it because of the opposite gender pulling us down. But I'm sorry to say, and I know, and to say it in as many words as I can, forget about men pulling us down. It's our own greed which is pulling us down.
Yeah.
And
True,
until we
true.
stop doing that, until we stop comparing ourselves with each other rather than complimenting, we are comparing ourselves with each
Yes.
other. The moment we start complimenting,
Yeah.
I think you create
We learn from each
some
other.
amazing, it
Yeah.
is something which cannot be defeated. And I
It cannot
take
be.
pride in saying this, and I say this many a times, that as a team, we are four
Yeah.
women. Neither of us will ever pull the other person down. And even if by mistake, we are humans, even if
Yeah.
sometimes it just happens to, the other
Mm.
person is there to say, hey, you know what? No, this is
No.
not how we are
Yeah.
supposed to be. So we are also trying to change our conditioning. So
Yeah.
I think if we can bring that change in the mindset,
Healthy
I think
communication. Yeah.
healthy communication, stand by each other, support each other, build that camaraderie,
Yeah.
and no one will be able to break us
No one.
individually or collectively.
The next century belongs to us, Ekta.
Absolutely. So I'm going to
Yeah.
read out some lovely comments before we go any further. Uh, Puram is saying we should respect each other. Yes, Richa, finally you mail it. Friends, Sada is saying we'll check the recording later on. Ila is saying that's where the problem lies. We talk about lifting other women, but no one adapts to it. Absolutely right. रियल एम्पावरमेंट यही होगा कि हम एक दूसरे का सपोर्ट करें
True.
एंड गो ahead in life. So we heard about the garden, right? Now we're going to hear about something where we've spoken about the garden where your own emotions are being talked about. But if you look at the current society, while you may talk about all these things, there is still a drift from each other, a drift from the situation, and a lot of other things that you can think about. But Tapasya wants to tell us what drifting away is in her poem. So, what is drifting away, Tapasya?
Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So this is when we decided to move to India. I mean, this is just when I was sitting on the ECP, this thought came to me and I penned it down. Here I go. This time, this breeze, pink skies, long walks, these moments, these conversations, this sand, these tall trees, this reflection of moonlight and lampposts in the sea, all this is drifting away. These ships defining the horizon, the cooing of the birds, these creepy crawly bees, barking dogs, long thundering sound. big waves and small. This blue ocean, all this is drifting away. From one sandcastle to another, from one port to another. Scattered emotions, here I gather, from one soul connection to another. It's finding its own way towards a new form, like every leaf has its own destiny. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Being an army officer's daughter, this change of location had
Yeah.
become an integral part. But every time you would move, you would have emotions, you would think differently, and perhaps look for that lamppost under which you could sit and think, what is it that you're leaving behind, and what is it that you're taking ahead with you? I totally relate to that emotion. Sonia, anything? You also relocated from India to Singapore. Anything you want to say on this?
Yeah, actually, we have done so many relocations. Like after marriage, so after every year we used to relocate. And so like for like 6 years we kept relocating to sometimes like cities, and sometimes we used to relocate to countries. So like I used to love change. Like I'm very adventurous sort of person. So, but every time, some attachment always used to be there with country,
Yeah.
city, wherever used to be there. So it was like I used to brood. I used to feel so bad when leaving, some place. But again, it was always for a short time, and then again, I used to, mix up with all the hues and colors of different
Yeah.
place. So change is sometimes painful, but then after a time you get used to it, you enjoy, so every phase of life you used to enjoy, like nature, like all the colors of nature, seasons of nature we enjoy, whether it's rain or autumn. So like we should enjoy all the colors of nature. That's what nature is all about. So it's all about,
Absolutely.
yeah, learning. Life itself is a learning school of life. It's all about learning. So we shouldn't complain about anything. We should just enjoy, we should learn and move on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Otherwise, I would have been complaining for all those years. Carry, get another move, so many friends. But I guess, that change, I feel, helps you shape up into someone that you
Yes,
Yeah.
wouldn't even have imagined.
Unique
Your
experience.
acceptance, it's a
Yeah.
unique experience altogether. The diversification that you go through, the culture, the language, the
yes,
people, and that whole settling in process, and then to unsettle and then again resettle.
The
Yeah, Shweta,
learning,
you're right.
unlearning. Yeah.
Unlearn
New
and learn,
learning.
exactly.
Yeah.
Shweta
yes,
Sundar is saying we army kids crave change and make every face our own. Absolutely. I think
Yeah.
change is the only thing which is inevitable, and we learn it
yes,
in the most enjoyable manner.
Yeah.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
We've experienced so many emotions over here, from smile to appreciation to the kitchen to leaving a place. But we even spoke about men and women, about appreciating each other and all that. But there is a root cause which sometime back we spoke about. We spoke about violence against women,
Yeah.
about marital rape, about women being mistreated just because they are women. Uh, I don't want to give any further introduction to this, but I would request Richa to read out her poem Black Hole, which found its place in an international anthology. I'm not going to divulge any further. Richa, all yours.
Okay, this anthology was actually Social Justice Inc.'s. Social Justice Inc.'s was actually the compilation of poets' expression for voices against social injustice. So we were asked to elaborate whatever we thought were gross injustices. I think in our times, where we are women privileged to be born and living in a country, and in a class where our rights have been secure and we have a voice for ourselves. I think there are right now with us a lot of women living in these times, sharing this space and time with us on this planet Earth, who have absolutely no voices of their own. And this starts from very early on in their childhood. They become women as young as 8 years old, 7 years old, even 6 years old. And I have always felt very, very strongly about that, having had a baby girl myself. And most of you can actually empathize with it. So this is a slightly, it was very, I think I cried writing this. I still get goosebumps or teary when I read it. It was a very difficult submission for me. So I hope you all like it and you can understand the sentiment behind it. The title of the poem is Black Hole. In abscesses and recesses, in alleyways and alcoves, in darkness lies, between two legs, the sinuous devil's black hole. The dishonor of clan and tribes, this massive singularity of shame, the human bit attached to it, is all the thing to blame. Wars have raged, bloodshed wild by the thirsty sword of man. Who saves who from being the spoils, from falling into the wrong hands? And if this flesh seeks its own hand to sate itself unbound, there may be plenty, your phallic majesties, to lay claim to the hallowed ground. There is no agency that this singularity holds over itself. Though a million years have thus passed, the matters are for men to mull and discuss. Human rights exist, but women's rights come last. Thank you.
Very nice. This
Yeah,
is
it's a
like
little graphic. Yeah.
this is like the last line is the essence of poem. The last line,
Yes.
like women's right, we all have, basic rights, but still women's rights are not real
Yeah.
in this world. We don't get
It's
women's
funny
rights.
because women have
Yes.
been blamed for starting wars and causing bloodshed, right from the times of Mahabharata and Troy, Helen of Troy, Draupadi in our very own homeland. We have started wars, we have been responsible for massacres, but then who we are still not safe, right?
Yes.
Nobody takes care of our real honor, tries to give
Also,
us what
the
they have
power
taken
to
away
say
from
no
us.
is itself not given sometimes.
Yes, we don't have any agency whatsoever.
Yeah.
And by we, I do not mean us.
Yeah.
I mean the majority out there. So
Isn't it sad that in the 21st century,
Yeah,
this
right.
still is a reality?
yeah, it is
And
sad.
unfortunately, this reality is not just in our land, but this is a
Yeah,
reality across the world.
across the world. You go
Across
to
the
any
world,
country, even the first world countries.
yeah, absolutely.
Abuse is a very, very live issue, and women dying due to domestic abuse. It is very common occurrence in the first world nations also. So
But
I'm so
Richard,
glad.
again, saying the same thing what I said earlier, a lot of the owners, the women need to take on this also because
Yes,
they feel that it's okay. I had read a research a couple of years
yes,
back where it said that women said it's okay for us to be abused. That's
yes.
our fate.
I
Now
agree with you.
imagine if that's the thought, how can things
Yeah,
change? They have to change
yeah,
at the foundation level. And I
yeah,
think, women like us who perhaps are blessed have to be that torchbearer, have to bring in that change, educate and
true.
empower each other to be able to,
Yeah,
make them feel worthy of themselves.
yes,
That conditioning
true.
has to be broken, which is so deep rooted. Unless we do
Yes.
that, we will still be
There's no
discussing this
change.
even after,
Yeah. 50
centuries
years from now.
together. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, very
absolutely.
true. That mold has to be
True.
broken.
Yeah.
Age old conditionings are also there, and sometimes those I think nonsensical rituals are also there in which,
Too
men,
many,
they are
Sonia.
glorified. Yeah.
Too many.
Yeah,
Too many
too
to
many
count.
rituals. Yeah. So we have to get rid of those nonsensical rituals
Yes.
also, I
We
feel.
have to stop
Yeah.
practicing them.
Yes.
Since we are the
Yes.
next torch bearers, as Ekta said, of the next generation, we have to
Yes.
stop following those rituals so that our
Yes.
girls watch us, our students, our girls, our children, even the boys, they look at us and they say, all right, this is irrelevant. I don't need to stick to this. That's how it will be phased out,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
Absolutely. And I
And
think
Happened to recall a memory like when I was a child. So my, grandfather and grandmother, we used to have this newspaper. So I just realized, like, my grandmother used to take it first. So, it's like I
Yeah.
will read it first. So I think
Yeah.
now I understand, like, when you see all these things, while in your growing up years, you understand, okay, no, it's not the men who will get preference. Okay. It's like
Yes.
we all are
Simple act
equal.
of power. Yes.
Yeah, so that is like it was when you see you learn, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
These are very
absolutely
now
simple
I'm
things.
realizing it. Yeah,
so at
You're right,
true,
home
very
Tapasya. Like
also,
having your meal before
yeah.
your husband
Yes.
or before
And
your son, or not
yeah.
caring, having your meal when you're hungry. Okay,
I
not
have it
waiting for
even
them.
before my
It's a
child
simple
also.
thing.
It's like I am hungry, I want to have it.
Yeah, exactly. No, even if you look
Yeah.
at the way schools, which is the educational institution, uh, every form asks for the father's name.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why?
For every information, it is shared on the father's number. And, the conditioning is so deep rooted that even if you give the mother's number, it still
They'll
goes
still
to the
ask.
father.
No, they still ask.
They still ask
Madam,
for it.
आपने father का नाम नहीं लिखा. Yeah, I know. I've seen that for first
acha,
hand.
हाँ,
I think
right.
all of us have faced it.
Yeah.
Higher education.
Yeah. At home
Ekta
also,
ji.
like conditioning is there. Like in kitchen, we always, ask our daughters to help. We never ask, our sons that, you come and help in kitchen. You learn how to cook. So,
Yeah.
first lesson should begin from home
Home
itself.
only. Yes. So I think
Yeah.
as parents, we have a huge responsibility
Yes.
to
Yeah.
groom our kids irrespective of the gender. Parenting has to be gender neutral.
True, true.
Yes.
And that is where the change will start to happen when boys see that,
Yes.
okay, it's okay. See, after all, if you look at some of the professions, the stereotyping that happens there, a chef in a hotel is
Yeah,
wow to look up to. But if a man cooks in the house, in many households even today, क्या हुआ खाना बना रहा है you know and then of course whatever follows. I don't want to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
into
because I
that,
feel
but
the condition girls keep is aap cook. You should also be able to cook. Even the boys also. So
No,
I think girls
Tapasya,
will
it's
be
a
more
life
than happy
skill.
now.
I
it's a
always
life
tell my
skill,
kids,
absolutely.
It's not about
whatever
It's a
you
girls.
life
do,
skill.
wherever you go in life, your mom may not be there to cook for you. And your girlfriend might turn around and ask you. I tell my son, what if she says, dude, I don't know how to cook. Are we going to eat something?
True.
So you don't expect women in your family to feed you. It is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is an
Absolutely.
archaic, it is a very archaic, a very subjugational system. It's not going to last long. I think the future generation is changing, Ekta. I can see the change. My son loves to help me out in the kitchen.
Yes, you're
My
right.
daughter is a
And
commando.
And
She
one
wants to
thing
do
I
it.
want to say, like, I have heard, like, I've often seen also in many households that if husband or any male helps in the kitchen, so what he says, see, I have helped you.
Oh
See,
my
I've
god, yes.
let you do work. I've
Yeah.
helped you. So this is like
What a
what he
favor.
has helped. This is like
As a
more.
true, yeah.
Yeah, this is like your task also. You are eating.
Yes.
So I have washed
Yes.
utensils. See, I have helped you. I have helped
Mm.
you chopping and chopping, cutting. I've
Or
helped you in
Sonia, people
washing.
will tell you that. Or people will tell you, yeah, your husband is so nice. Yeah, he's helping you in
Yeah.
the kitchen.
Yes,
Wow, what a nice
exactly.
husband you have.
Exactly.
He
So
cooks as if he
help
doesn't eat.
this.
You know.
Yes.
Ladies, we're going to have a conversation on this topic about the social conditioning. Otherwise, this is something which is going to take us into a
Yeah.
different world altogether, and
True,
then we're
true.
going to forget the poem that Sonia has to share. But
Yes.
everybody's having a great time. Everybody's enjoying. Lots of good comments are coming. Eli saying that her son-in-law cooks regularly and her husband also cooks happily. I'm a witness to that. I have eaten the food that her husband makes. He cooks amazingly well. Yes, you're right, the trend is changing, but we're going to have a conversation about this perhaps some other time. After having gone
Yeah.
through all the emotions, the happy, the not so happy, the dark side of life, I think it is important that we all bring something in our life which calms us, soothes us, and helps us to meet our own selves. That, in my understanding, is called meditation. So, who better than Sonia to share her poem on meditation? So, over to you, Sonia.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, whatever we have discussed, so it's all about meditation, is all about inner transformation. So, inner transformation is the need of an hour. So, here I go. When we sit to meditate, we reach at heaven's gate. That's magic. But when we curse our fate, we fall from that heavenly state. That's tragic. When we spread vibrations, our own world brightens. That's magic. But when we don't enlighten, the light of joy darkens. That's tragic. Irrespective of caste, creed, and race, we sing the glory of Mother's grace. Here, Mother is primordial Mother. I'm talking about Adi Shakti, primordial Mother. So, irrespective of caste, creed, and race, we sing the glory of Mother's grace. That's magic. But when we divide our ways, we fall from our place. That's tragic. In happier times, we have a strong belief Mother's love gives us relief. That's magic. In testing time, the storms of grief makes us quiver like a dry leaf. That's tragic. In the midst of flurries, Param Chaitanya takes all our worries. That's magic. When frantically the mind scurries, all pain in our hearts buries. That's tragic. When we forgive, we are at peace. All the anger vents out and cease. That's magic. But when we labor, it increase. We are not at ease as we fail to appease. When our aura shines in pure divine love, we get blessings from above. That's magic. But with attitude or gratitude, we show innate peace gone on the wings of dove. That's tragic. We are born in the most significant age. We seekers are angels in mother's own image. That's magic. But in a fit of rage, we fail to envision or envisage and become like a broken winged bird in a cage. That's tragic. We took birth on Mother Earth to spread joy and mirth. That's magic. But when negativity is girth, and sometimes due to our own follies, we forget our worth. That's tragic. Our individual journey of self realization makes us collective into meditation. That's magic. But when heart, mind, and spirit are not in coordination, we fail to understand divine revelation and fall into the pits of depression. That's tragic. Nature has given us one last chance. Let's be a part of this cosmic dance. Let's spread the joy of meditation worldwide and make this journey of life a joyous ride. A day is not far when all enigmatic will turn into ecstatic and all tragic will turn into magic. Thank you.
It's beautiful.
Tapasya, I was seeing you. She was totally in a state of meditation and
Yeah.
hearing, with her eyes closed. That's the power of your poem, Sonia.
So
I,
humble.
I
That,
wanted to
that
feel each and every word. I mean, because it's like because when I do meditation, she's what she said is correct. Like sometimes the mind, body, and soul are not in alignment, and that's really tragic. Even if you're
Yeah.
doing your pushing, so that subtle difference of your mental state has, I mean, weaving such beautiful thoughts in this way is something I could have never thought of. Thank you so much, Sonia. I want to
Yeah.
have this poem from you.
Sure.
Yes, it's a beautiful poem.
So humble. Gratitude.
Very inspiring, actually. It's very inspiring. And Sonia, I think what your narration today has been overall, it's a basket of inspiration. It gives a peek into the personality of the quote, you know.
True. I
Yeah,
think,
you.
like I said, what we think, what we see, what we experience, and what we do in our life, in some way or the other, it comes out in the form of poetry that we write.
Right.
The sensitive side of an individual. You have all kinds of emotions that flow in a poetry. Humor being the most difficult one. I think unanimously everybody agrees that एक हास्य कविता या एक humorous poem को लिखने के लिए बहुत effort चाहिए होता है. But to actually experience something and then put it in words also is not so easy. And I know that Sonia regularly does
Yeah.
meditation. So very beautifully you have explained. And for people like me who cannot sit at one place and meditate, or who would have 10,000 thoughts wandering in the mind, I think it's easy to understand that what meditation does to you. And I hope I can do something about it. Though I can be in a state of nothing many a time, where try hard, I will not listen to anything that you're saying.
Ekta,
I'll
I'm in
cut
your
this
club. Don't worry. My mind is a
out.
chatterbox. Yeah, cannot meditate to save my life. But yeah, I have discovered, just sharing this bit with you. If you find it difficult to meditate, like with your eyes closed, try doing an activity which helps you zone out. So that could
Yeah.
be listening to music. That could be even I draw mandalas for meditation, and I run for meditation. That is the best activity I've discovered for
I
meditation.
swim.
Yeah, I mean
That's my
I'm so
that's my peace time.
I do not when I'm running, I do not look at the word. I'm just running on something.
You're in a
I do
state
not
of
even
trance at
care.
that time.
Yeah,
True.
state of trance.
I think
And
just try meditation in the early hours, like just before sunrise, then it will help you to be in thoughtless awareness. Because, like, when you meditate after sunrise, then it will be a bit difficult. But then
yeah,
practice at least 10 minutes meditation before sunrise. So it will be very easy for you to
Basically, the
be in
Brahma Muhurat you're saying,
thoughtlessness
right?
Yeah.
throughout. Yeah.
yeah,
Because after that,
So,
I guess one gets caught up in the hustle bustle of the day-to-day
yes,
routine, and mornings are usually the most busiest.
yes,
Kids going
correct.
to
yes.
school, your office, your home, and everything. Very rightly said. But I think, ladies, it's been an amazing, amazing session with different genres and poetry and emotions flowing. And thank you, Ela, for letting me host this one today. I really enjoyed and loved hearing your poetries from all three of you. And I go back with a lot of ideas. Vanessa was also saying that she has taken some cues and she's also going to write. So I'm sure many of us are going to bake something new and perhaps have the right opportunity to share it. So keep writing, keep inspiring. Do share these poems in writing on the platform, so that all of
Sure,
the ones who could not hear it today can read through it. And Sonia, do share the meditation one with Tapasya.
sure,
Uh,
sure.
right.
Please.
So
Sure,
some
I
yeah.
will do it tonight only.
Thank you so
Uh,
much, Ekta, for
Yeah,
Thank
doing
you.
this.
Vanessa is saying 6 a.m. is a good time to meditate. Manju Kulaji is saying, let's all spread this magic and move away from all that's tragic. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for sharing those words. So lovely on the whole. I think it was a great session, and it was wonderful to see great participation for the English open mic. Because Hindi we know for a fact that many join in, but
yeah,
English the participation was awesome. The comments shows that you are paying attention to every word that each one of them was sharing here, the emotion behind it, the depth in their words. Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, ladies, for
Thank you
sparing
so much.
time.
Really enjoyed.
So much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to let you girls go because it's quite late for Richa and Sonia in your part of the world. So
yeah.
thank you everyone for joining in. And tomorrow evening, catch Sheila and me at the Facebook group live to talk about certain aspects that impact each one of us.
Wow.
So do join us to hear what we wish to share with all of you. Till then, stay safe, take care. The cases are on the rise in a couple of
Yeah.
cities in India. So please take care. Don't forget to wear your mask. Don't put your guards down yet.
Yeah,
Let's be sensible. Let's take care of ourselves and people around us. And let's fight this demon and say bye bye to it forever. So, with this, thank you everyone. This is Ekta Sehgal Malhotra, founder and chief strategy officer, in conversations in a poetic form with three amazing ladies. Thank you so much and take
Thank
care.
you. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Rita.
Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Ila. Thank you so much. Team
Thank you
Motherhood.
and bye bye. Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Sonia, Tapasya. Wonderful
Thank
meeting you,
you.
ladies. Listening to
Same,
you.
same here. Bye bye. Good
Take
evening.
Bye
care. Bye
bye.
bye. Good night,
Good
everyone.
night. Yeah.
Bye bye. Good night.